so as to, I know I'm walking around a minefield here, so I'm exercising my best not to step on the mine. But at the proper time, and you'll begin to know in your fellowship with the Lord that it's the proper time. At the proper time, it's good to exercise your best to, first of all, have some clarity before the Lord, and second, it's good to have some confirmation in the body through fellowshipping with other brothers and sisters, especially those who are older than you. I'll share a little bit about my experience. My wife is here. In our seeking of the Lord, at some point, we both came to about the same spot at just about at the same time. She was fellowshipping with some older saints that helped her to contact the Lord further. She had some feeling, and she opened to those older saints, and they helped her to pray. Likewise with me, some of you know Brother Don Looper. I began to fellowship with Brother Don a little bit concerning my situation of being totally distracted with a sister. Anyway, in a period of time, after some fellowship and shepherding, we felt before the Lord that it was right and time for us to be married, and so we did. It's really hard to fellowship all of the processes that we went through, but eventually we felt before the Lord it was something of the Lord, and we got married. You know what? We've been married now 36 years.
Wow.
Somehow you do survive. But yeah, the questions are very good in that we want to be proper. One, we want to take care of our pursuit of the Lord to be able to not be distracted, and we want to find the proper one that the Lord has arranged for us. Now that I've messed it up,
I like what James said at the end, proper, and then you said
to pursue the Lord.
You see, it has to be in a way and at a time when we are not distracted from our pursuit of the Lord. And then you said number 3. What was it? You said another thing.
Fellowship.
Yeah, the fellowship, right? Is that right? Okay. So, I just like to add a few things. Actually, I'm going to mention 3 things related to this point of the boy-girl relationship. It has to be according to God's way.
Amen.
Number 2, according to God's timing. And number 3, according to God's choice. 3 things.
Amen.
God's way, God's timing, God's choice.
Amen.
What is God's way? Well, God's way is simply one man, one woman. God's way is no window shopping. God's way is no multiple situations. You read the Bible and you can confirm this. This is not God's way. That's the world's way. And, anything, any system, any approach, any method is proven by its results. Well, the world way of dating, it has proven to be a total failure. So why should we take something that has proven itself to be an absolute failure? Okay? This is not God's way. Okay? In the world, it's like this. Jesse's going to be like a girl. And this girl is there. Maybe it's a classmate, maybe it's even a sister in the church. And I'm right here. Okay? And there is nothing. Even I'm not looking at her. But at some point, somehow, either in the class or even in a home meeting or wherever, eventually I look at her. She was not in the radar. But now I began to look at her. And now I began to consider, all these thoughts in my mind and in my heart. She has a nice head. Even the glasses she wears. Not bad. Her teeth. Smile. You see? Closer and closer and closer. Right. So that's the enemy's strategy. It's not that, you're going to do all these evil things all of a sudden. No, it's just gradually. It's gradually. Maybe then later on it's a text. Maybe an email. Facebook. And eventually the relationship begins to develop. Right? And then maybe later on is, holding hands. Right? Maybe later on is... So I tell you, it's just gradual. And I tell you something, you cannot control it. Once you release that, and you are in, that way, that direction, you are heading to a catastrophe. So you have to realize how the enemy works and what is in you. Yes, there is in us, by God, we are made by Him to enjoy all these things at the right time with the right person. But, if you just get closer and closer, there is no way, eventually, you have no way, no strength, no power to control this. Okay? And then, you get together with this person. In today's age, I'm going to step into a mind, okay, right here. In today's age, maybe not in your time or in your parents' time, but today, dating in the world is most of the time is fornication. That's what it is. So you touch that, you taste that, and then after a while, maybe you start to see all the defects in her. You don't like this or that, and then you go with another one, with a second, and the same thing happens. And then you go with a third one, and the same thing happens, and a fourth one, and a fifth one, and a sixth one. You know what is all this process doing in you? It's really preparing you for divorce. Because every time you break, there is a pain involved, especially the first one, right? So what is divorce? It's just a separation, right, that involves pain, But you already were prepared by this joining and breaking. Joining and breaking. You are being prepared for divorce. Okay? Because you already went through many of those processes. Okay, so the system in the world really is a failure and prepares you for separation. That is not God's way. Okay? Now, thank you. Now, God's timing. Glenn touched on this matter, and I'm going to read a few verses for you. This is the Old Testament, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. You know that section, very famous. For everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. That's chapter 3. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to weep, a time to laugh. Then it says in verse 5, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. There is a time. There is a time to embrace, right? But there is a time to refrain from embracing. Now, concerning timing, an older brother, whenever you went to him and fellowship about marriage or dating, he said something like this. You know when you are ready to begin dating? He said, when you can set a time, at least an approximate time for your marriage, for the wedding day. That's when you are ready to begin dating. That is, dating has a purpose, has a goal, and that is marriage.
Yes.
It's not just for the sake of dating, but it's with a view to marry, okay? And then, when do you know that you are ready to marry? Brother, when do you know? How do you know? You say, when do you know that you are ready to marry? Yeah, support. He will say, how much are you bringing home? Brother, are you still working in McDonald's? Are you ready to support? Very practical. Okay? Then, concerning God's choice, I like what Clem, in his testimony he shared. You pray and you fellowship. Right? You pray to the Lord. He's the head. Right? And then you fellowship with the body. God will give you the assurance if that's the person He has for you. Okay, so these three things: God's way, God's timing, God's choice. I don't know. Anything else you want to add? Saints, I know as time goes on, this age is just going downward. And we are here in the Lord's recovery to be His testimony, and we want to stay according to God's way, like this. And as time goes on, the difference increases. And so we look more and more peculiar. But we have to decide what we want to be. The Lord's testimony, or we want to be just like this, compromising. Yes, there is a difference, but we are also in a decline. I know for some of you, and that's why Clem said, I'm stepping into a minefield. I know for some of you this is very radical. But we have to decide. Do we take God's way? Or do we follow the world in practice? So, this is a very serious matter, and I would say this is an area that Satan uses to destroy and to damage his vessel. This area. Okay? So,
and in this area, too, regarding regarding the church, the building up of the church, there is the need to have strong couples, strong families, and if we, like Brother Jose mentioned, begin to compromise, then the church is weak. And so we have to realize that